Throughout her lifetime, Mary Shaw Branton, known to all as Shawzy, served as a role model to countless Kansas Cityans. For 95 years, she was a lightning rod of compassionate change towards social justice for all.
My mother once said, if there is a need, fill it. It's not what you have, it's what you do. She was a lifelong community volunteer, an advocate for children's and women's issues, child welfare, school integration, and the preservation of arts and history.
Shawzy was the voice for all people. Volunteerism was her vocation, and she felt it was an honor to give voice to those whose voices, for whatever reason, were not being heard. Her longtime friend, Annie Presley, describes her as not the tallest or the shortest, neither the richest nor the poorest. Sometimes she was the first one to a meeting, but rarely the last, and generally she wasn't the loudest. But when Shawzy Branton got a bee in her bonnet, there was no stopping her. Born to a family of givers, Mary Shaw Branton learned at an early age how to make our community a better place. In her memoir, Things I Didn't Know I Knew, she recounted lessons she had learned as a youngster.
My mother was an only child, grew up in Independence during the Depression era, and as such, she was influenced, if you will, by the frailties of society that she witnessed, but also saw how the extension of a hand up could make a huge difference in people's lives. She loved her grandfather, who was a pharmacist on the Independence Square, and when he died, she was just 11 years old, and in the midst of his belongings in his massive pharmacy desk, they found a stack of IOUs with a note neatly wrapped on top which basically said, "Upon my death, please do not collect." It was a marvelous lesson for an 11-year-old to learn.
In the 1940s, when children with disabilities were routinely shunned and put into institutions, Shawzy, a social advocate, co-founded the first nursery school for children with disabilities, Cerebral Palsy Nursery School, later Crippled Children's Nursery School, and now Children's TLC. In the 1950s, 1 year prior to the landmark Supreme Court case of Brown versus the Topeka Board of Education, Shawzy pushed the board to integrate the nursery school, months before the Kansas City, Missouri School District made the same decision. But young disabled children were not the only ones to feel her visionary touch. In the 1970s and 80s, her voice guided the Parents as Teachers program, a groundbreaking and now internationally lauded program that assists first-time parents in their child's development of learning skills to better prepare the children for kindergarten.
She was smart, she was fearless, and she was well respected. Throughout the community, I feel that she was a voice for the underserved.
As a member of the Junior League, she assisted over 60 organizations and served as a director on over 30 boards. She was awarded the Association of Junior Leagues International Mary Harriman Community Service Award in 2011. The YMCA of Greater Kansas City felt her impact when she broke its glass ceiling as the first female chairman of the board, and it was for the YMCA that her personal ideology of caring for others took form in what has been called a transformational speech. She was a board member of the Harry S. Truman Museum and Library, a lifetime board member of Children's Mercy Hospital, a recipient of the Marion and John Kramer Award for Volunteer Entrepreneurship for the UMKC Block School, as well as the recipient of the Spirit Award for Gillis Home and the Yates Medallion for Distinguished Service from William Jewell College. From advocating for birth control and women's rights while sitting on the board of Planned Parenthood, to tackling what she saw as unfair discrimination practices across our social landscape, Mary Shaw Branton significantly and dramatically changed our community for the better. Yet through it all, she was first and foremost a wife and a devoted mother.
She loved me. She loved our community, and yet she made time for things that were important to her, whether that was me, whether that was an issue, whether that was an event she was chairing. It didn't make a difference. She just took the time to do it. And I'd like to think that the Kansas City community is better because of that.
Shawzy Branton spent her life graciously fighting for social change that benefited others. Her influence was immeasurable, her tenacity and humor legendary. And like the Starr Women's Hall of Fame inductees who came before her, she selflessly and fearlessly embarked on a lifetime that profoundly impacted us all. It is with appreciation for creating a broad foundation of social responsibility upon which our future honorees can stand that we posthumously welcome Mary Shaw Branton to the Starr Women's Hall of Fame.